In our massive country, there are card collectors throughout the land participating in the hobby. There's Mike of Junk Wax Hero and Greg of Midlife Cards. And while distance may separate them, here is where they come together to talk cards. Hey, Mike, it has been a slow week in sports card hobby news. There's nothing has happened. The slowness, I mean, the news cycle is getting boring. There's just nothing to talk about.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, nobody's watching any YouTube videos. Nobody cares about this stuff anymore. What are we doing here?
I don't know. I mean, we'll figure out something to talk about. But I am very excited because, we do Surface Issues, which is a show on our YouTube channel and on our podcast network. But there is a third and I would say better looking piece of the puzzle who hasn't been on a Surface Issues episode with us, but he has been on the podcast network. He has been on the YouTube channel, and he has furiously been working behind the scenes on the website. And that is none other than this handsome fellow, Adam of Splendid Sports. Adam, what's up, buddy?
How you doing, guys? I'm going to tell my wife to watch this one because you called me handsome and you complimented me. So this will be the one I share to her.
I mean, Mike, am I wrong? But when I look at Adam, I'm like, he would fit in perfectly in that car of friends driving around in Goodwill Hunting. I mean, he looks like a Bostonian. If anybody does, he looks like he belongs in that group of friends in that movie.
So before you said Goodwill Hunting, and you were saying he looks like he would belong, my first thought was a Ben Affleck, Matt Damon movie.
Yeah.
And he's got the look.
Yeah.
He fit right in. He could soup up his accent a little bit because his accent isn't that thick, but I know he could do it.
I grew up on Cape Cod, so for whatever reason, we don't get a lot of the accent down here. Although my parents both had like a very, very thick Boston accent, so I don't know why I didn't get it. Really, I got a little of it, but not much.
It's because how old are you, Adam? Like 45?
44.
44. I'm 46. It's because we watched a lot of TV growing up, and nobody on TV had the accent. So I grew up in Maine, very thick Maine accent, which is a close cousin of Massachusetts accent. My parents have it. Mine is there. It's just nowhere near like my parents or my uncle, who was a fisherman. Very, very thick Maine accent.
Speaking of Goodwill Hunting, I have to share my Goodwill Hunting story. So when my brother, long story short, I spent a week with my brother in Boston, and he stayed at a apartment that was like 4 doors down from the eastern edge of Boston Common Park. And we walked over there and we watched the Goodwill Hunting movie to find the exact bench that they sat in that scene. And like, we took pictures in it. We asked these people to take our picture, and we were like looking off like to the side, like they do in the famous picture of them talking. And so anyway,
Greg,
all right.
I want you to make another trip to Boston or somewhere around here, and then we could meet up, the three of us, and a bunch of other people too.
I love Boston. Boston is an awesome town. Like at the north tip of the Boston Common, there's a major theater, and my brother performed at that theater for like 3 weeks. He was on a tour for a couple years. And at the northern tip of it, there's also, there was at least a Ritz-Carlton where I met Ross Perot. It was the craziest thing. My brother stayed next door to Ted Kennedy. Ted Kennedy was walking his dog and walked past me as I was walking home one night. It is a wild week, but
now that guy had an accent.
He had an accent. Yeah, he had a lot of interesting characteristics.
A lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So first off, I want to promote and pump one of my favorite things on YouTube, which is you and Dylan and your Turn Back the Clock series that you guys have. And it is genuinely like, there's like 3 or 4 things that whenever they post, I get like super excited. And one of them is a Turn Back the Clock episode. And you guys were gracious enough to bring that into the Sports Card Clubhouse network. Tell people who haven't seen that for some reason, the history, because you guys been doing it. You guys have been doing it for a while.
Yeah, it was boy. So I used to do that show 3 and 3, and
It was the first time I think I was ever invited on somebody else's channel. Was when you reached out to me and said, "Hey, I don't know if you've heard of me, Splendid Sports. I do a 3 and 3. Love to have you on." And I was like, I was shocked, amazed, flattered, and I was thrilled to go on.
Yeah, when I came on, I was all about just like, I've said this before, but like I'm not as good at talking by myself as you guys are. I mean, Greg, you're a master. I don't know how you do it. I picture you like driving to work and you just like thinking about what you're gonna. I don't know how you do this. Like, but you could just talk into the camera for on and on and on. You do such a great job. I'm not as good at that, so I do better when I have someone else to talk to. So I knew like, hey, I want to just invite people on the channel because not a lot of people knew me. So I was like, no one's gonna invite me anywhere, so I might as well just invite people. And Dylan was the first person. He left a comment on one of my videos, and then I reached out to him. I said, let's come on, let's do 3 and 3, and then let's do a show together. Just every so often, let's jump on, talk about cards, call it Turn Back the Clock, because we both loved and still do love the Turn Back the Clock cards. So that's something we had in common. And yeah, we've just, I wish we could do it more. It's very tough now because I'm on the East Coast and he's out in Hawaii. So there's a 6 hour difference. And I have a hard time doing things at night. I would prefer, if I'm going to do YouTube stuff, I'm during the day is perfect for me because I work from home, but obviously it's like the middle of the night his time. So it's tough, but yeah, we still do it when we can. And as long as I'm doing anything on YouTube, I'm going to be doing that with Dylan because that's the most fun, So
yeah,
it's a shame he doesn't have any enthusiasm though.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I knew right away. I was like, I want to talk to that guy. When I saw his first video, I saw his. I was like, I got to talk to this guy.
He's awesome.
So that's one of the things that you do with the channel and with the group, and for anybody out there, it is the whole Sports Card Clubhouse thing is the 3 people on the screen right now. So 3 of us. This is our thing. We've been working on. We're constantly texting, constantly having fun with each other, and talking about ideas and kicking around things. But another thing that you've been working on, and I know a lot of people are aware of this, but some people aren't. I'm going to pull it up on the screen if you are watching on YouTube. If you're listening, I'll do my best to describe what we're looking at. But it's a website, and the website launched a couple weeks ago. And so I'll pull that up. And on the front page here, right now, there's a picture of Mike and John Mangini. And then there's a link to our YouTube channel, our podcast network. And if you scroll down, there's a link to more links. There's more links on there to get to YouTube stuff, to get to the podcast stuff. Right now, everything that we're doing is on the YouTube channel and the podcast network, but I think that's going to change. I'm starting to work on a few things to start doing podcast only from time to time. So if you are watching this on YouTube, you are missing out if you're not subscribed. So if you go to sportscardclubhouse.com and you go to the podcast, it will take you into our Spotify, and you could subscribe on Spotify. But we have some other stuff up here.
You can get it anywhere you get your podcasts, right?
Correct. Yeah. But yes, Apple, wherever. I know that a lot of people are Apple or Spotify. We've got this about us. So this was all designed by Adam. This was all put together by Adam. This is one of the many things he does.
By the way, Adam's done an amazing job. By the way, I just want to comment on these photos. My photo is clearly like a PSA 9 centering. Greg's is like a PSA 9 OC.
Yeah, this cut.
I'm okay with it. This is super fun. This is the 3 of us. We've got links to our YouTube channels, because in addition to us having this together, we also have our own channels, and so that's cool. So our Instagram links, our YouTube channel links are on there with us. Then we've got this vote thing. So I want to talk about this. So Mike, tell us about what we're looking at on the screen. We've got a countdown clock, and at the moment we have the best auction house poll. Tell us about the polls with the channel and the website.
Yeah, so the plan is to put a new poll out every single week. Something hobby related, of course. The current one is what is the best auction house, and then there are like 15 options there. And you can go and you can vote, and then we will talk about these during every week's Surface Issues. You might hear us talking about them on our own channels as well. I don't know if Adam and Dylan will talk about it as well, but we're trying to come up every week, something topical, something interesting that people are wanting to vote on, and then we can talk about it. And it's fun. Hopefully it'll be exciting and will lead us to more things. This is a simple way for us to start with the website, and will lead us to adding more things to the website for people to go and do.
Mm-hmm. And this particular poll has 3 days left. I haven't voted. Do we want to talk about where this is, or should we wait until it ends and then talk about it next week, Kelly, right?
Throw a vote in there.
Well, I mean, I have to disclose that CIA is a sponsor of my channel before
Also
I vote.
sponsor my channel too.
So, when we look at these, I do love the game. I
Sure.
think they're good guys.
Al, good guy.
I have some positive feelings. I think Mile High, I know, has some decent things. A couple of these I'm not familiar with. eBay, pros and cons. So those are the ones I lean toward right off the way. But I'm gonna go. Hey, if you sponsor me, that's gonna definitely sway me. But I haven't. I don't think I've announced this yet. But I actually submitted 9 cards for the January CIA auction.
I'm submitting
9 cards from the Midlife Reserve are going to be available. So let's see where we're at. I submit that and look at this. I didn't know this. So Golden 2%, Fanatics is at 4%, CIA is at 48%, REA 11%.
We don't know how many votes there are.
I don't know how many votes there are. eBay 27%, Clean Sweep 2%, Love of the Game 7%.
So CIA and eBay are making up 3/4 of the votes.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah. And we can get the total votes information too. It's all available.
And maybe when it's over next week, we can kind of talk about how many votes and all, how it turns out. But that is definitely interesting. I understand. See, the thing about this is a lot of us are collectors, and a lot of these auction houses are really designed to rig the system for the consignor, not be the collector, the buyer. And CIA has, quite frankly, CIA and I would argue in a lot of ways, eBay are the 2 most buyer-friendly auction houses. So this doesn't surprise me a ton, but the fact that it's that much for CIA is a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead.
No, I think it is surprising, but also as you think about it, like you just said, it kind of makes sense. CIA has become very popular in our community.
Mm-hmm.
There are live streams for closed parties, and you're sponsored by them. I'm sponsored by them. It makes sense that people who watch us would vote for them. The people in our communities would vote for them.
Yeah. So all you other sponsors out there, if you want your product to be looked upon favorably in the YouTube community, just sponsor us. We'll make you 48% or more. Speaking of, the next tab is partners, and this is usually about the time that Mike shares a little statement with us, a little plug for a sponsor of this channel, which is Chris Sewell. Mike, do you have anything you want to share about that, or do you what do you want to hear?
Yeah, our friend, everybody's friend, Chris Sewell, collector, investor, dealer, in that order, as Adam very smartly put here. Chris Sewell is buying collections, and if you are interested in selling part or all of your collection, you should reach out to Chris Sewell. You can go straight to our website, sportscardclubhouse.com, or you can email him at sewellsportscards@gmail.com. Let him know what you have. Send him some photos. He gives the best deals out there. Very fair, and he will explain his offers to you.
And has an affiliation with CIA and Jeremy, the Texas Snowman. So good friends of both of our channels and this channel as well. Those two fellows over there. So again, we got partners on here. At some point, I hope to add more people to our partner feed. And then we've got our feed, which this is a really cool thing. I love this, that Adam has this going, where it's got links to our channel stuff. And I mean, if you want to see what's the newest videos from any of the three of us, the feed gets you up to date. Like right here today, as we record this, is December 17th. It is a Wednesday. And I had a video post, and Mike had a video post yesterday, and I had a video post the day before that, and so on. So it's kind of a quick place to see what has posted recently, as well as a partner video here. We've got Investor Dealer, and so Investor Dealer over here as well. So this is a cool thing that Adam put in. I don't know how you do this,
Greg,
Adam.
let me just so what that is, I think there's a lot we could do with that. We haven't really even talked about it, but I think one of the ideas with it is that's a software on that page there that can pull in, it's a feed that pulls in not just YouTube, but we could have someone's social media, an X account, it can pull in podcasts, it can pull in articles from other blogs out there. So I guess the idea is to maybe make it a hub of content that we curate. And obviously right now we have your channels, Chris Sewell's channel, because he's a sponsor of Sports Card Clubhouse. But, there's a lot of directions we can go with that. But we'll have to discuss where we want to head with that.
I love it. And then YouTube, we have our YouTube, a link directly to the Sports Card Clubhouse YouTube channel. You can see that I am subscribed to it. If you're not, please do that. We are now at 950 subscribers, which is amazing. But when you look down here and you see the last few videos, we have 2,600 views, 1,700 views, and 1,600 views in the last 3 videos, but we only have 950 subs. Why are you guys watching, but you're not subscribing? Just click the subscribe button. It's super easy. So, but go ahead.
I made a prediction at the beginning of November that we would be at 1,000 by Christmas, and people, you guys are going to make me out to be liars if you don't come and subscribe.
Eight away. So yeah, so that's the YouTube link, and then a link again back to the podcast here. And you can see that there's Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and I've never heard of that. Copy RSS. I don't know what that is.
RSS feed is I used to know what RSS stand for. Something syndicate. What does it stand for, Adam?
I don't even know what it stands for. It's basically just a link to your podcast it's like a universal link. So like Apple uses it, Spotify uses it, Amazon. It's just like, it's kind of like if like the sportscardclubhouse.com, your domain, it's like kind of your link to all the podcast stuff.
RSS feeds were very big in the early 2000s.
Right.
Long story short, I'll say this. The Surface Issues episodes post on the podcast format about 5 days before they post on YouTube format. So to get the most current Surface Issues episode, if you go to sportscardclubhouse.com, you go to podcast, you can listen to it through these links right here where it has them. I also post my midlife sports card Q&A, which dropped this morning in this episode. I guess I didn't put on there yet, but it has, that's because it posts here on Sundays. So that'll post later in the week. But that's a way to get the more up-to-date things. But again, I'm working on doing a semi-frequent podcast only, which you wouldn't get on the YouTube channel. You will only get if you listen on podcast. And again, if you don't have a podcast set up, because some of us don't, you can go to sportscardclubhouse.com, go to podcast, and then you'll be able to click on the links here as soon as they go live. So that's very cool. And then if you want to contact us with any information, you could do it in here. Now, again, we've alluded to this a couple of times. I think that there is still a lot that we could and will add, as we get feedback, as we see what's working, what's not working. But there are a lot. This is sort of like a landing page, a hub where you can get to our YouTube stuff, our podcast stuff, reach out to us, participate in the polls. So
I
it's
would like
really great.
for anyone like with this episode, anyone who votes in that best auction house poll, I would love for people in the comments to explain why. Leave a comment if you voted, why you voted for CIA, why you voted for eBay or whoever you voted for. And you can leave a comment obviously on YouTube, but also on Spotify. They do comments there too. So I think that's the kind of one of the biggest ideas with the website is to make it a place where people can, go and share their opinion, and a bunch of other things. But that would be cool if people did that for this particular episode, because I don't know when it's releasing, but the poll will be up for at least another 3 days. So
yeah, totally agree. So when this hits YouTube, the poll will be down. When this hits podcast format, it will still be up. So
okay.
The kind of the normal routine is Saturdays is when the podcast drops, and then it's not until Thursday that the video format drops. But I mean, Adam, this is fantastic. I love it. We're always looking for ways to add engagement, and I think the website is something that, again, I think we're just getting started. I think we have a structure in place, and we're going to continue to add things. We've talked about a few different things, and we're going to continue developing it. So make sure that you come back to it, check it out, so you can see the changes as they go. Now that said, as we sit here on Wednesday, December 17th, some news hit recently, a couple of days ago, about, Collectors, the parent company of PSA and SGC, purchased Beckett as well.
What?
Yes, they purchased Beckett as well, Mike. There are a lot of places we could go with that, but let me then say today, this morning, Dr. Beckett released his podcast with his take on the whole situation, and also shared a few things that at least for me, caught me off guard. So let me share with the audience, but also Mike, because I know Mike hasn't yet heard the podcast, but Adam and I have. So Adam, you jump in when I say something wrong, but here's part of what Dr. Beckett said. Dr. Beckett went in Monday to pick up a grading order at the Beckett headquarters in Dallas, which is where he lives. And after he picked it up, he got home and his phone starts blowing up because apparently some news started breaking. And then Dr. Beckett gets a phone call from Nat Turner and says, "Hey, I'm in Dallas. Want to grab lunch?" And Dr. Beckett says, "Sure." Nat Turner then goes to Dr. Beckett's house and spent about an hour talking to him about the acquisition that was finalized earlier that day. And Dr. Beckett was not tipped off about this when he went into Beckett headquarters. About an hour before Nat Turner got there is when Dr. Beckett left. Is that right, Adam?
I think you nailed it. Yeah, from what I remember. Yep.
So, Mike, having not heard that, what is your reaction to that?
So Dr. Beckett has been very critical of Beckett on Hobby Hotline, and probably on his podcast too, for years. He has not been impressed with the way the company has gone in the last 4 or 5 years. It's still surprising that Beckett, the company, would not alert Dr. Beckett that they had just been acquired. And knowing that Nat Turner reached out to him and went to lunch with him makes me wonder if he wants to have Dr. Beckett as like a ambassador to the brand.
He talked a little bit about that. So, Adam, do you want to share some of what Dr. Beckett said about his feelings about the acquisition and some of the things that he said? I feel like I'm completely hogging the mic at the moment.
From what I gathered, he was happy about it. He was, if they were going to get bought, I think he was happy that Collectors was the one to buy them, or at least someone like Collectors, who he came away, I think, optimistic that, I've watched a lot of YouTube in the last couple days, like probably a lot of people have, and podcasts, and there's a lot of negativity out there. I know even, I've heard you have some thoughts about it too, Greg, but I think a lot of people think that PSA is going to do or Collectors is going to do to Beckett what they've done with SGC, which is really nothing, and letting it kind of die. But Dr. Beckett at least doesn't feel that way based on everything he's, as far as feedback has gotten from Nat Turner and anyone else. He seemed like they were going to go the other way with it and try to improve Beckett and build it up and everything. I like Nat Turner. I didn't even know who he was until I started following like YouTube and stuff with sports cards. I know a lot of people knew who he was. I didn't. But when I saw him do interviews, I said, you could say what you want about PSA, but I think I think we're kind of lucky to have a guy like him in charge of PSA. And one of the things I worry about with PSA in the future is if Nat Turner leaves, which, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he probably, if they go public or whatever, I know I'm going off on a rant here, but if he goes away, then I think a lot of these systems that are in place that are set up for a lot of problems. I think then you might have some real bad problems if you don't have someone like Nat Turner at the helm. If they bring in someone else who maybe doesn't care about the hobby, isn't a collector, then you're going to, I think, see a lot of the things potentially that people are worried about. But at least for now, I feel like Nat Turner, he seems like someone who has nostalgia for Beckett like we do. And I think he might actually try to make the best of it and do what he can with an awesome brand like that in the hobby. So we'll see.
I hope you're right. But I'm skeptical.
Yeah.
Yeah. What Dr. Beckett said 3 or 4 times was, if Nat Turner does what he told me he was doing, this is a really good thing for Beckett. Which that was a really, really interesting comment that he made multiple times. He said, I know that things can change. I know that decisions can be dependent on what's happening in different places. But if he does what he told me he's going to do, this is going to be a good thing. Now, that to me makes me kind of go, well, but when we look at why did PSA buy SGC, and then what they've done with SGC, and then why are they buying Beckett? A lot of us are thinking, well, the roadmap is in place. They've already told us what they're going to do when they acquire a company. That's what a lot of us have thought. Mike, do you think that this might be different, that they might actually be buying this distressed asset to actually build it back up again and then in theory compete with PSA? Like, what do you think? What do you think of all of this? Hearing this right now for the first time and not having listened to the whole podcast is unfair, but based on what we've shared, what is your takeaway on this?
Well, it's certainly hopeful. And you and I had a conversation a month or so ago where you thought, I don't know if you thought or you asked me, do you think Beckett will go out of business or something to that effect? And I said, no, because the Beckett brand is way too valuable, and it's been too valuable for so long. And right now it's distressed because of what the ownership group and the new ownership group have done to it. But to a certain generation, ours, it's extremely valuable and recognizable. And collectors could do something very cool with it and give lowercase c collectors like us another option other than PSA, because they're clearly not wanting to do that with SGC, but maybe they'll do something really cool with Beckett. I'm just skeptical because of what they have done with SGC. I have a hard time believing or seeing them doing something really cool or beneficial to the hobby with Beckett.
Now, okay, yes, I agree with everything you just said. Now, in historically speaking, when you look at other businesses and other industries, when a big company acquires a smaller company in the same industry, so like for a while, didn't Ford own Jaguar and they owned like Land Rover and they owned a few different brands within the automobile industry. But those brands weren't competitors really. They were the same product, but they weren't really intended for the same audience. Like a person who buys a Jaguar is not going, am I going to go with the Jaguar or am I going to go with the Ford Focus?
Right.
Like those aren't the same. But the thing about grading is if there was a differentiation, if they said, oh, you know what, we're going to keep all the brands. SGC is now our vintage brand. PSA is our premium brand for, newer cards, and Beckett is the patch RPA type brand, the thicker cards, and they all had like their own little kind of niche. Then it would go, okay. But so far, they've all been going after, if Beckett became the I can't even say that one of them would become the Pokemon brand or the non-sport brand because none of them. I mean, how does it work? How do you have those coexist and not become competitors where they cannibalize each other? How could that even work unless you start to find a brand? One of the brands is geared toward a certain group that doesn't take away from the other group. Otherwise, you just have redundancies. How would that work? Either of you, help me process through how they could all coexist.
Yeah, it is tough because, like you said, they're two competing things at pretty much the same price point. So we're not talking about a Jaguar or Ford Focus. But I have heard that people do like thicker cards in Beckett holders better. So maybe it's something where they can just make some. I mean, I've heard a lot of people voice the same concerns with Beckett slabs. They don't like the 9.5 or I hate the inner sleeve baggy thing, like little things like that. That's what I'm talking about. If they can if a signal would be if you start to see like things change with the slab or change with the website of, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, hey, we're going to cannibalize PSA, but just to like make some tweaks, low hanging fruit that people have been talking about Beckett for years, but they do nothing. If you see like anything, that's a good sign. I think that, they're just trying to kind of fix it a little bit, right? Like make it so that it's like the glaring stuff that nobody likes or very few people like get changed. I think that could be beneficial. But to your point, it is tricky because like, are you going to put all these resources into not PSA brand and then build up their slabs? And yeah, it is a tricky thing. I think maybe they'll use if they are going to try to use the Beckett history and brand, maybe it's in other ways other than even grading. Maybe it's more to do with pricing. I mean, if you think about it, if someone were to tell you like Card Ladder, right? Card Ladder came in and collectors bought them. If they never did that, this would make even way more sense, right? Like, hey, let's buy Beckett and then whatever we'll build our own pricing tool and slap the Beckett name on it because Beckett should be the pricing. They should be like the price. They were the price guide. They should be the online price guide now, not Card Ladder, but it is Card Ladder because they were more innovative and they did it better. So I don't know, but I think they got to use the name somehow, right? Like the brand is, like Mike said, is too valuable. It's too much history, nostalgia. If they're going public, the people that are going to invest, they're going to know Beckett. So they have to use that brand somehow, but it might not be like, hey, grade with Beckett now. It's just as good as PSA. I don't know if that's going to happen.
The Beckett Card Ladder.
Beckett Card Ladder brought to you by Beckett.
I'm very curious to see what Chris Hoge is thinking right now. I know he's been under the weather for the last week and a half, but I'd be very, very curious to hear what he's thinking. It looks like Mike just froze on us. Can you hear me, Mike? Oh, there you are.
I hear you fine. Is my audio still okay?
No, maybe you were just not moving.
No, I think that my video keeps freezing, but the audio stays fine.
Okay. For us, it's mostly looks fine. Let me ask you this.
My Wi-Fi looks perfect, but it's clearly having some issues.
That's okay. We'll just keep plowing forward. This is going fine. Why, Mike? Why did collectors purchase Beckett? In your opinion, what is the reason that they purchased Beckett based on what Dr. Beckett said, based on the little, because that's one of the reasons why, like, a lot of people go immediately, they go and they report on it, and it's like, well, we don't really know a lot yet. And as some things are starting to trickle out, it might change our opinions. So as things stand right now on Wednesday, December 17th at 7:45 Eastern, why did collectors purchase Beckett? Was it a block? Was it to expand the portfolio? Is it a distressed asset? What's the reason?
Yeah, that's right. I spent many years as a business analyst and a data analyst, and I still work in that field. And one of the things, when I was assigned to go figure out why did this happen, one of the things that senior executives hate the most is when I go back and say, it wasn't one thing, it was like 12 different things that caused this to happen. And it's not going to be popular with the audience, but the answer is the same here. Why did collectors buy Beckett? There were a lot of reasons. It is a distressed asset. They probably got it very cheaply. And I mean, tens of millions of dollars still, but relative to what it was once worth, they're blocking another company, probably Fanatics, from buying it. They want to gain the little bit of market share that Beckett had, 4% or something like that. They wanted to buy the graders because that's very important right now. And I know you got a lot of people saying, well, the graders are easy to find. They just hire them at $14 an hour off the street. But high-level graders are very difficult. And people who can do it all day long and do it accurately are very, very difficult to find. And there are numerous other reasons for them to buy Beckett. The brand name itself is valuable. Maybe there is an executive team with a company. I used to work for a company that purchased a company just for the talent, just for the people who work there, the executive team, the management team, and the people who were, the doers, the people doing the actual work, had so much talent that they needed to train the rest of their company on, that they bought this company. And eventually the company went out of business. The smaller company, that they didn't go out of business, they just stopped selling it. But they had the talent that they paid for the company for. And that's valuable to a company like Collectors.
Adam, why did collectors buy Beckett, in your opinion?
I mean, I think they're making so much money right now. They got money. They got money to spend, and I think I agree with what you've said, Greg, as far as going public. I mean, it certainly can't hurt to own Beckett if you're going public, right? That's a great thing, and it's one of the tops. Beckett, I mean, the most well-known brands in the hobby, right? Probably over time. So I think it has to do with that. But I really think, I mean, Nat Turner loves the hobby, and if I ran Collectors, I would love to have bought Beckett. That's cool. I think he's right around our age, probably. And I've heard him say this. Same thing. He loved getting the Beckett magazines in the mail as a kid, and it's probably a dream to buy a company like Beckett, and just to think, like, even from dollars and cents and all that, like, just to think about all the things you can do with it. Like, there's a lot of opportunity there. Like people have been saying for years now, no one's doing anything at Beckett. It doesn't seem like. You never hear from them. I don't know who was, like, SGC had Pete, Nat Turner with PSA, and Ryan with PSA. They got those guys. Every company had like a person that was out there on social media. Even CGC, Mike, you had Sue's, right? She works for you hear her a lot on social media. They have spokespeople. Beckett, I don't think I've ever seen anyone over the last few years, maybe like one or two videos, but they don't really have anyone.
They had a Texas guy a couple of years ago who did like 5 videos as the face of Beckett, and it was, I don't remember, there was something embarrassing that happened during that time, and then it just stopped.
Yeah. I mean, these are brands, right? Like, it doesn't always make complete sense, but it's a brand. So you have to be out there if you want to build your brand further in a hobby like this, which is still like kind of a niche hobby. Really, it's not a huge industry compared to other industries. So you really, you have to get it out there. You have, like, that's why Pete did so well for SGC, because he was out there making videos, enthusiastic. we're doing it, guys, and thanking everybody, and people liked him. That makes a difference in a small industry like this, but Beckett didn't have any of that. I mean, now you could, tweak a few things. You could put someone else in charge of Beckett, and they're out there. And even if they make a video every few months, I think it's probably, there's a lot of low hanging fruit that you could do with Beckett, just based on the name. So
I've got a couple of quick hitter questions for you guys that I'm super interested to hear your thoughts on. So I'm 46 years old. Okay. On my 50th birthday. So it's 3.5 years from now, anyway, 3.5 years from now on my 50th birthday. Question number one, I'm gonna bump back and forth between who goes first on each, because it's not fair to give them first. So Mike, on my 50th birthday, will Peter Steinberg have worked and received a paycheck for working at any collector's brand by my 50th birthday?
Absolutely not.
How about you, Adam?
Do you know?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Just real quick, I think that when Peter left, he received a substantial payout from collectors. And as part of that substantial payout, I don't know what it was, I suspect that they required him to sign a non-disclosure, a non-compete, and they said, with this payout, we're locking you down for 5 years, 8 years, whatever it is. It's substantial.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he was happy to sign it because they probably paid him a significant amount of money.
Adam, does Peter Steinberg work for the collector's company for any brand between now and my 50th birthday?
No, I think he's going to move on to something else.
If Beckett is a distressed brand and collectors really did buy it as a distressed brand to resurrect it, and they don't have that clear leader right now, why wouldn't they hire Peter for a good salary in addition to his non-compete? Hey, now we're going to triple that, but you're going to come work with us, because Peter, I believe, if put in charge of Beckett, could in theory resurrect it. So what I'm getting at is this. I don't think that they're buying a distressed asset to rebuild it, because if they actually were, I think they could say, Pete, move your family down to Dallas and turn this company into something bigger. I don't think that's what they're actually doing. And I think that they have a person who could do it if they wanted to do it. Am I crazy, Mike?
I think you just blew my mind with that thought. I mean, Peter would be the one person who could do that. But I just think that I have no inside knowledge here. I just believe that he and Nat Turner and Ryan Hogue bumped heads. Speculation on my part, but I just don't think it was working out with them. I think that they want to do things that he thinks are bad for collectors, lowercase collectors like us. And they wanted to do them because they were good for uppercase collectors, because they were big revenue generators. And I think that it didn't work out between them. Pure speculation on my part.
Adam, am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. And I disagree, though, that he's the one guy who could. Guys, it's not. I mean, this isn't rocket science. I mean, they just need someone who's going to be out there with enthusiasm that has a little innovative, out of the box thing. It's not like Peter's like Einstein here, guy. I mean, he seemed like a great guy, but I mean, it's card grading. Come on now. I mean, anyone could do this, really. Not anyone, but someone who cares, right? I think that's my kind of last point on this. I think with PSA collectors, this is their shot, right? If they do want to show that if they truly do have some care about the hobby, and it's not all about money, it's not all about going public and cashing out. This is really their shot to prove it. I mean, this is like layup, right? Like they could easily show the hobby that like, we love this hobby too. We like making a lot of money, but we also want the hobby to succeed and grow. This is their chance to do it. So I think I'm going to say by the National coming up, we're going to know one way or the other if it's what the doomsdayers are saying, or if you're trying to be optimistic, like maybe I am here, maybe if it's more towards that. I think we'll see at least some things happen or not happen that are going to tell us which way it's going to go. And then I'll be the first one to say, you know what? I gave PSA and collectors a shot here. I was hopeful, but I was wrong. Or maybe I'll say, hey, I was right. You know, I was somewhat right. They did have good intentions. And Dr. Beckett, what he hoped is coming true. So I think we're going to know by the summer of 2026.
So you
Adam,
say somebody needs to be enthusiastic and cares about the hobby. Is Dylan available?
Dylan would kill it.
Yeah,
Honestly,
he would.
if they want, if they you know, they need just someone who wants to grow a business. Let's put it that way.
Okay, Adam goes first. We're at 45 minutes, so I'm going to make this quick, but I do have 2 more quick hits for you guys. Adam, on my 50th birthday, will SGC be a company I could send cards in for grading for?
Yes. Yep.
Mike.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Mike, will Beckett be a company I can send cards in for grading for on my 50th birthday?
Yes.
Adam.
Yes.
Interesting.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah,
I actually believe it.
I let the record show I want SGC to be around in 5 years. I want Beckett to be around in 5 years. I want them to be independent brands under the same umbrella. I want to say, I like what they're doing over there. I'm going to go with them. And I don't like what they're doing. So I'm going to go over there. I want that to happen. At the moment, I just don't feel like there's enough differentiation between them. And the hope originally was that SGC would be the vintage wing of PSA. But what they did is they stole all of their top vintage graders. They staffed them way down, and they pulled all those people to help with the PSA backlog and showed us that PSA is the priority and SGC is just like, I mean, if you still want us to have them, I guess they're still an option. They're not. There's not a differentiation that they have done with the marketing of SGC at this point. How I don't see what they can do to not be targeting the same people with the PSA brand and the Beckett brand. Uh-oh, I can't hear Mike. Can you hear him, Adam?
No.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
What if they bought Beckett? Beckett is right now a BVG3, right? And they bought this BVG3 and they're going to turn it into a PSA 10 and then they're going to sell it.
Why would they do that? Why would they
Money.
Wait. When General Motors was about to go bankrupt, you didn't have Ford go, let's buy them. Let's make them really good. And then let's sell them to someone to compete with us. Why would they do that?
They go public and then they spin it off as its own company. Well,
that is, you didn't include the go public part. If they go public and they spin them off, okay, last question. Mike, on my 50th birthday, can I go to buy shares of Collector's Universe on the open market?
I think by the time you have your 48th birthday, you'll be able to.
Adam?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, I don't know as much about the whole I work with small businesses, so I've never really studied like the big business stuff too much. Are the people, like, if they go public, are the people that are working at Collectors right now, are they going to get all like really rich? Is that how
Not
that's going to work?
necessarily. Only if they've been given equity, stock options in the company, and a lot of them probably have. They're probably, stay with us. We've given you. I once got recruited by a company that made all of their employees think they were going to become millionaires because they were giving them like, here's 10,000 shares of our stock, and when we go public, this 10,000, this is going to be worth so much. But over time, those shares get diluted and diluted and diluted. And like the people who thought they were going to be making millions were making like $10,000 from their what was originally 10,000 shares. But yeah, the executives will get rich for sure.
Okay, richer,
right?
Yeah. Super interesting discussion. And again, I look forward to seeing how things unfold over the next 6 months. I'll be paying close attention to see what things are done. I would love it if they want to take a distressed asset and make it a premium brand again to help with their unveiling of their going public, to make it a more interesting investment, because that would be good for us if they did that. And so that is what I am hoping for. Um, we'll see what happens. Any final thoughts before we sign off, Mike?
Awesome to have Adam in here, and Adam, fantastic job with the website.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on for Surface Issues, and that's all I got for today.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Again, check out sportscardclubhouse.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't, because you're listening, you're just not subscribing. So hit that subscribe button. And again, over on Spotify, Apple, or all those other places, check out the podcast to get it sooner than on YouTube.